So today's lesson is the summary of chapter 3, as we already explained. It talks about culture. What is culture? The definition of culture is the beliefs and behaviors that a special group shares. When a culture exists in one place, this place has certain features, beliefs, behaviors for a certain social group. To define culture and social group, we need to go back to the original definition of society. What is a society? It's a group of people who share a community. They can also share a region. Therefore, they share the same culture. So if I ask you, what is the relationship between society and culture? You start by defining society. You start by saying that society is a group of people who share a community, a region, and since they are living in the same place, they share the same culture, which is the beliefs and behaviors of the people living in the same place. Is this clear? Okay. Neither society nor culture could exist without the other. You cannot have a society without a culture. You cannot have a culture of people and they're not living in the same place or in the same society. Now, to start of the first lesson, which is what is culture. We already defined what is culture. Now, culture has certain components. The first component of culture is material, or the first division of culture. We divide culture into material and non-material culture. What do I mean by that? The types of culture. Material culture is the objects. They are things that we can see or touch. The objects or the belongings of the people who are living in the society. The cars, the churches, the buildings. And if I ask you, for example, compare the houses in Greece compared to, for example, houses in China or the States. According to material culture, the houses in Greece, they have a certain texture, a certain level. They look like the old houses, basically 1 or 2 levels, but in the States or in China, usually you can see the skyscrapers in most of the areas. Non-material culture, these are the ideas, the attitudes, and the beliefs. اللي هو non-tangible, things that we do not see, but we learn from our parents and grandparents. Another concept is cultural universals. Cultural universals are the patterns or traits that are globally common between all the cultures and societies around the world. One of the sociologists said that there are over 39 cultural universals that are common between all the cultures of the world. And in every culture, you can find music, you can find religion, you can find other aspects that are common between, for example, the Egyptian culture, the Chinese culture, the Indian culture. There are certain traits and actions and beliefs that are common between all of the cultures. This is the definition or the term known as cultural universals. Now, you are related to another culture. You are related to a culture and you're comparing it to another culture. You're comparing yourself to another culture. If you believe that your own culture is superior or is better than the other culture, this is known as ethnocentrism. You being ethnocentric means that you think that your culture is better, is superior, is stronger, is more advanced than other cultures. So if you compare it to the other cultures, you think that you are evaluating the other cultures and they're not as educated or as deep and important as yourself. This is known as ethnocentrism. What's normal is that you appreciate your own culture and at the same time appreciate other people's culture. For example, Some people deal with the Indian or Hindu culture in terms of worshipping cows. Normal people would understand the idea that they do not have the same religion, for example, as us. Therefore, their mind is established in a way that they do not eat animals because of their religion. Being ethnocentric deals with this idea as stupid. We eat, and usually people say the same quote, which is, we eat your God. This is considered as a type of ethnocentrism. No, we're not evaluating other people's cultures and thinking that our culture is superior, better, or more developed because of certain aspects. Another term is known as cultural imperialism, which is the deliberate imposition of one's own cultural values of another culture. How is cultural imperialism different than ethnocentrism? If you are an Egyptian, for example, and you are living in a country outside Egypt, ethnocentrism would be that you think that your Egyptian culture, your beliefs, your traditions, they are important, they are better than the other country's culture, but you try not to communicate, you try not to clash. But in case you do, yes, you say that your culture is superior and your culture is better. Imperialism means that you're living outside in another country outside Egypt with a different culture, and you deliberately try to impose or force your own culture on the area and the people around you. Okay, so imperialism is when you try to force your culture, your beliefs, and your traditions over the area around you. For example, if it's time for Ramadan, so you force everyone around you to hear, for example, the adhan, or to, if you have neighbors, so you wake up at dawn and you, for example, force everyone in the area around you to, for example, hang some lanterns. Whatever actions you do, you force the people around you. You're not doing it in your own place. You're not doing it in your own house with your own family. No, you deliberately try to impose whatever culture you want, whatever rules and costumes and food. You try to even impose it on the people around you. You do not even respect or accept other cultures. Now, culture shock. Culture shock is the disorientation and frustration that occurs when you're confronted with a different culture, which means that you travel to a different place and you find that this place has different cultures, traditions, and beliefs than your own. Some people do not enforce their culture. Some people do not act that their culture is superior, like ethnocentric people, but they get a shock at the beginning. They try to adapt, they try to learn something from the new culture, but at first it's fun, and then it becomes more stressful. They cannot be part of the new culture, and at the same time, they cannot take part of their own culture, or they cannot put their culture into use. So they get a cultural shock, or they're disoriented, they don't know what to do. So these are the three types of reactions when it comes to comparing or relating to other cultures. So the question, or I might ask you, if you are comparing yourself or your culture to another cultures, what are the three types of reactions? In terms of comparing cultures to each other, what are the three types of actions that people would behave in? Number one, it's ethnocentric or ethnocentrism. Number two, imperialistic or cultural imperialism. And number three is the shock. These are the three types of actions when you have two different cultures at the same place. Now, cultural relativism. It's the assessing the culture by its own culture and not by your own. Cultural relativism is usually the answer or the solution to the cultural shock, which means that, just we said earlier, with the Hindu people, when we think first that how do they worship, for example, cows or fire or whatever, you have to assess the other culture by the people. And put yourself in their shoes. This is their religion, this is how they think, this is how they want it. So you learn to accept the different aspects of the different cultures. Xenocentrism is when someone believes that another culture is superior to their own. This is the total opposite of ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is when you believe that your own culture, no matter where you go, is superior, is higher. Okay? Xenocentrism is when you always believe that your culture is the lowest, your culture is the worst, and everyone else is better. Okay? So the three types of reactions are ethnocentrism, cultural imperialism, and cultural shock. There are another two reactions. One of them, cultural relativism, is considered as a solution to the cultural shock, or how do we overcome cultural shock. And the other is considered as the total opposite of the first one that we took. So concerning relating cultures to the other, do you have any questions? Grade 12, you can now answer.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay, concerning the definition of culture and the 5 types of actions to the culture, do you have any questions? Do you understand the 5 actions? And how are they related?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Going to the second topic, which are the elements of culture. We have 5 elements. Values, and culture in each place is divided into 5 elements. Values, beliefs, norms, symbols, and language. Let's start today with the first 2, which are values and beliefs. What is the difference between a value and a belief? The values are a culture's standard for what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. They are deeply embedded. The whole society knows that there are certain actions that are good and there are certain actions that are bad, or right and wrong. For example, if a person is supposed, or if a boy, a young man, is supposed to join the army after he finishes college, if he tries to escape or in any other way tries not to join the army, for most of the people, especially the elder ones, this is considered as a discourage or an action of shame because you're supposed to serve your country. This is a value. This is something that was not taught in school. You did not take exams on, but it's a feeling or it is an idea that is deeply embedded or built in the society. A belief is the conviction that people hold to be true or not. Beliefs are opinions. I believe, for example, that if you work hard, usually, in most of the cases, you get the fruits or you get the payback of working hard. Someone else might think that I don't need to work hard because I can find my way and eventually all people are equal. One of you would think that if I study hard, I will get good grades and I will go to college. Another person would say that I don't need to study hard, for example, and eventually I will go to any college, but eventually we will all graduate and we will still work in the same country, and my salary, for example, or money that I get might be more than yours. So beliefs are different. They are convictions that people hold inside themselves. They might be true, they might be not. But each person has his own belief. But values, no. The values are common or deeply structured in all of the society. Clear? Difference between values and beliefs? The values, they suggest how we should behave. Values indirectly tell you how to behave. If we consider that not joining the army is shameful, then indirectly in your mind, it's embedded that you cannot or you're not supposed to escape army service, and it's courageous and gives you extra credit if you do. Now, there are two types of culture. Ideal culture, which are the standards of the society that we would like to reach, that we all need to live in a clean environment, no pollution, healthy lifestyle, fair conditions for everyone, enough money for everyone, good schools for everyone. This is the ideal culture that we are all targeted to. We want to, we try, and we try to make it happen. But what happens instead is real culture. Real culture is the real life or the real culture that we face, which is considered or which is related to our beliefs. Ideal culture is related to the values. يعني ideal culture is like an image that everyone has in their head. اللي هو a good country means that there are no crimes, police is everywhere, fairness is everywhere, starting from the lowest to the highest positions. Everyone has their own chance of learning and going to hospitals. Nothing works by money or by paying more. This is an ideal culture. It's related to what we deeply or indirectly know that is right or wrong. But what happens is that people work according to their beliefs in the real culture. So you would find that some people go ahead in their life because they are more wealthy than others. Or some people go ahead in their lives because of their position or their family's position. In real life, you have crime, you have racism. People can commit crimes and get away with it easily, again, according to their position, to their level, to their status. And at the same time, people could be punished or they could have a very tough life because of racism, because some people believe that they are better than others. So ideal culture is related to the values, which is the image that we all want to have. But what happens is real culture, which is the beliefs of people turning into actions. Now, the last part of today's session is that there are three ways that societies put values into actions: rewards, sanctions, and punishments. Remember, values are the ideas that are in the society, and it's deeply embedded and structured in the society. When these values are turned into actions, they have three types of actions. Rewards. If you go to the army or join the army for the service, you are rewarded with a certain condition, certain family approval. Here it says a thank you note, a bonus. So if you do an action that is approved by the society, you get a reward. A sanction. They are the society's approval or disapproval for certain actions. They can be formal, like being fired, or informal, like a thank you or a frown. Sanctions are actions that are less than rewards. Usually rewards are done on a society scale and sanctions are done on business scale or family scale. Finally, the opposite happens if you do not follow the values of the society and you decide to do something that is the opposite. For example, you do something wrong in school, so you get suspended, or you do something wrong at work, so you get fired. You get punished, and people can label you, well, you did something wrong, and they keep reminding you of the same mistake that you did. This is where we're stopping today. Do you have any questions concerning the parts of culture, the types of cultures, the 5 actions, and the values and beliefs? Do you have any questions, Grade 12?
No, yes.
Is it all clear for you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow, and please prepare your questions as soon as I upload the project if you have any. Okay?
Okay.
ماشي.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.